Madam Mayor, if I may say, that was a very smashing outfit you were portrayed in at that grand opening of whatever it was you were grand opening.
Oh, that was the Red Grant funding that we were awarded. Yeah. Yeah. I just threw on the closest dress and away I rolled. So thank you.
Wow. I did the same thing, you know, tonight.
Yeah, well, it was good to see that money come through again, because that program has been very well received, and it's been well subscribed by the businesses that are looking for profile online and, you know, marketing themselves outside of the area. So that particular Red Grant funding, it was good to see it was extended, because it was very effective. I believe there was a couple of runs in the National Post, and because they're doing it in conjunction with the town of Gananoque, it got quite a bit of traction. So, or traction, I should say. So it was good.
We're, Your Worship, are we on?
We are live on YouTube. Yeah, we are live. And we've got Mr. Maybe who's coming online here. We have Mr. Fody who's also coming online. And we got everybody else.
Todd, how's things in Prescott?
Good, thanks, but warm, very, very, very warm. Stuck in an non-air conditioned office right now. So if you see me kind of fade, someone just call 911.
Good to know. No pressure.
Yeah, it's not just flop sweat up here. It's really, really hot.
Okay, so we've got 3 more minutes before we are to start. Do we have any other directors? No, we're good. Oh, we do. Director Goodman is heading back to her office. Well, I guess I need to shut my door.
Vanessa, you got any answers for a video problem?
Terry, are you, sorry, that's Terry speaking?
Yeah, I am. I'm here, but I can't get my video portion.
Okay, I'll come over to you.
Okay, I was gonna say I'll send Kim out, but.
Technician has solved the problem.
Okay, 5:59, we got a minute to spare. So we've got Kate, we've got CAO, got the planner, chief, clerk. Okay. Are you looking up at the ceiling, Terry, to see if anything's changed since you were there?
I was actually admiring artwork. No, I was looking for a light is what I was looking for, but I'm okay. Shadows work well with me.
Is it not right by the door when you
Likely
first come in? Oh, okay, well, you can't see on the other side of the divider.
I'll spare you my details. You only have to look at darkness.
Okay. Okay, so do I have everybody now? Okay, so it's 6 p.m. and I'll call this meeting to order. This is a special council meeting here August 11th and beginning at 6 p.m. Any declaration of special interest or general nature thereof, if you could declare it now. I'm looking and seeing no declarations, so we'll move on to number 3, which is delegations, and we'll introduce Brett Todd and Michael Adamcrick, who are here from SLX, and they'll give a presentation, and then we'll move forward from there. I'll turn the meeting over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Your Worship and members of council. Thanks so much for inviting us to speak with you this evening. I wish we could do this in person, but obviously we're not quite there at that point yet, but we are very happy to join you tonight on Zoom. So we're here tonight to talk about SLX, which is SLX is also known as St. Lawrence Exchange. And we're a private company dedicated to attracting new residents to our St. Lawrence region municipalities. And by St. Lawrence region municipalities, I'm talking about the 7 between TLTI and Edwardsburg Cardinal, also the members of the St. Lawrence corridor. The main push of SLX is to bolster declining populations, which we've seen in the area going back to the 1996 census, and to shore up our overall residential tax base. SLX got started in August of 2019, and our major focus has been the remote worker. And we see that this now basically it's turned into a major opportunity. One silver lining with COVID-19 is we have seen so many people working from home, so many people moving out of the traditional brick and mortar offices. So we really see that there's a surge of remote working happening now, and we do want to position ourselves, and we have been positioning ourselves at SLX to attract the remote worker who have the ability to escape the city and look for that better, more affordable home in rural and small urban regions such as Leeds and the Thousand Islands. And also, of course, thanks to private startup funding, SLX, one of our key points is we are offering our services to the municipalities of the St. Lawrence region on a pay-for-results basis. So in short, we're paid only with the successful relocation of a household to your municipality. And I will say I'll cover some of the introductory points this evening, and then Michael Adamcrick will look at some of the specific marketing efforts and some of the more nuts and bolts aspects of the operation before we turn it over for questions that you might have. So that is the basic presentation of what SLX is. The team itself, and you'll note in the presentation we distributed earlier, it includes David Beatty is the owner, and myself, Michael Adamcrick, and James Wilson are other members. We're a small group. When we are, of course, all community members. We all live here, work here as well. So we're all very invested in the success of the region. So those are just the basics. I'll go into just some of the rationale behind SLX and why we think it's so important for the region. And the biggest part of that is, of course, our region, it really needs to grow. We've seen population growth in our area in the St. Lawrence corridor municipalities stagnant for well over 20 years now. And if you compare it in the presentation we distributed, you'll see the numbers, how we're actually at a less than 1% growth, where Ottawa, of course, is well over 25% growth. So we are actually seeing that as a major concern to obviously it's a threat to the tax base. It's a threat to municipalities to continue to maintain that standard of living that we have had for so many years. And it also is a threat to our economic well-being, simply because we don't have people moving to the area to take jobs and to encourage corporations and industries to expand and bolster their workforce, because it's very difficult to find workers in an area that is simply not attracting new families and new residences. So the SLX project started last year in August. In August of 2019, we've done some marketing in and around the Ottawa area, surveyed the market, done some work there to determine what the knowledge was of our region. We discovered some good takeaways that Michael will get into in a moment. But essentially, we have discovered that we really are sort of a hidden gem. And we think that we really do need that marketing angle. We need that additional push to get people to relocate into our area. And one of the things that SLX does that I will say that really differentiates us from other traditional municipal marketing efforts when it comes to residences is we're taking it one step beyond the traditional. Where the traditional, like with Cornwall and their Choose Cornwall program, Kingston and their Possible Made Here program, they're very much online, straight marketing, straight advertising. We're doing that, and we're also doing what we're calling a concierge focus, where we're actually bringing people into the area, hosting them, showing them what we have, and tying what we have to offer to what people are looking for. So if you've got a family, for instance, where mom's into scuba diving or dad's into sailing, or maybe the kids are into soccer, or maybe there's actually a need for family programming and childcare, we actually introduce them to the area, show them what we have to offer, host them, and actually roll out that red carpet to really show off what a hidden gem we have here in the region. So we think that's what really differentiates us from the other programs that are being run by municipalities. And as a small private organization, we're also ideally positioned to be kind of lean and mean on that, and to really go after the markets and directly bring people here to our region and bolster that population situation that we have had for a number of years now. I'll turn it over, I think, to Michael at this point, who will take us into some of the more specific marketing. And I will also note that Mr. Beatty did give his regrets tonight. He really wanted to be here with us, but the timing just didn't work out, and he was away right now, but he wished he could attend with us tonight. But with that, then, for a review of some of our specific marketing, I'll turn it over to Michael, and he'll take everyone through a few of the numbers and some of the nuts and bolts of how SLX operates and how we differentiate ourselves from traditional municipal marketing efforts.
So thank you, Your Worship and members of council. Appreciate you taking time out of your council meeting to allow our delegation this evening. So Brett covered the high-level topics about what our organization and company is about, and some of the key things. So always want to recap that we are a private company, so we are spending the money up front. So one of the things that we had to do is proof of concept. And as many of us are doing, it's pre-COVID and post-COVID. So pre-COVID, we did a lot of surveying of particular the Ottawa and Toronto markets, and found that well over 50% of the people, the workers in the certain age categories, had the ability and desire to work from home. And that group also had the thoughts of possibly relocating. We went deeper in our surveys to find out where are they going to relocate. And one of the interesting things was that although they'd heard about our area, they really didn't have any knowledge of our area. So we had the perfect thing happening. We had people that could work from home, that wanted to relocate, but they didn't know anything really about our communities. So from a marketing and sales point of view, it just gave us the perfect opportunity to move forward. So we built our whole strategy and our sales program around that. So educating people, so at the high level, understanding awareness, and that targeting those people that could work from home. And then, of course, we went from a minority, 40 to 50% of the population who could work from home, to in 1 week, millions of people working from home. So although the opportunity itself did not change, the scope of the opportunity did change dramatically. So we had to switch focus a little bit, and the marketing and sales focus that we have still works. So at the high level, we provide an electronic gathering. So we create awareness and interest on the electronic level at a mass market point of view. And then we very quickly bring this down, so we are either voice to voice or face to face with individuals. So I'll jump right down to the bottom part of it is highlighting a success story. So we've actually relocated one couple and their child to this area. We don't have a customer. We don't have a customer right now, so this was a freebie. So we've invested a lot of money in the back end of our system. So we've already created videos, websites, CRMs, all of those things that you need for a sales process. About $150,000 of CapEx so far. But so in that system, we identified very early on this one couple that had a desire to relocate. And so we worked with them, we understood what their needs were, and we actually found that people with children are willing to relocate if we can help them with their education. So we found this couple, they had special needs child, so we helped them understand what the opportunities were in our area. And they are relocating here. The one individual, one of the couples, does have a job that is fully remote. They work all over Ontario consistently. And the other person was going to inform their employer that they're going to be working remotely. But if that employer was not willing to help them out, we provided them with some of the other scopes of opportunities in our marketplace. So the reason I focused on this is we have millions of opportunities that we can attract, but we win everybody one at a time. So that's the concierge service that Brett talked about. We provide hosting opportunities. So we have identified people who would consider moving to our area. And pre-COVID, we were hosting people in our community and showing them what we have to offer. Our marketing program is built so that if you like scuba diving, we will introduce you to scuba diving in our area. If you like boating, we'll ensure that you understand what boating is like. And I have heard the odd person on our team likes golfing, and so we have a good insight into what golfing could look like. So it is a very highly targeted and electronic at the top end, with heavily video-based and dissemination of information, but then very quickly bringing it so that we're voice-to-voice and face-to-face with individuals. And as Brett mentioned, we have competitors in this marketplace. Although we are seeing a flight from the urban markets currently, I do forecast that is a bit of a bubble on what the trend is going. We're probably maybe 12 months across that. We do have competitors, and just like tourism is going to become hyper local to local over the next 12 to 18 months, so is relocation. So the competitors are the people that we can drive to right now, and we have an opportunity to provide a very big strategic advantage in the way that we approach these people. We mentioned Kingston with their possible mate here, and choose Cornwall as early indications. In your package, you'll see that we've created quite a bit of marketing support. So, ubiquitous website, of course, but the website is designed so that we gather information as people touch our website, we understand what their interests are, and then we can retarget them based on that. We have collateral material, we've attended trade shows, and we've created a series of videos as well. So some of them we have Mr. Todd starring in our videos explaining what our community is like. But then we've also created 2 other very specific videos that are target people. So one of them is they're inside a cramped apartment right now and wouldn't you rather live in our area? And then the other one was about what the amenities that we have. So we're very focused on understanding what the problems that individuals have, creating interest and awareness in our region, and solving those problems through the concierge service. And as I mentioned, we don't truly have a customer, although one of the municipalities has signed our letter of intent already. So we are working with several municipalities along this path. But we began our program because we knew we needed a lot of steam. So it probably has a 12 to 18 month lead time. So just focusing on the Ottawa market very early on, we reached over 125,000 people. We've had over 300 stakeholder meetings. We've had over 4,000, it's closer to 5,000 now, of our emails opened. We've had 157 meetings with individual prospects, and we've hosted 4 people into our marketplace. And so this is the early indications of what this program can be. So again, it's a program that's designed to invest upfront the marketing and all the collateral costs, and then we look for the municipalities on a pay per success basis, other than the one individual that we've moved here already. So that is a freebie. One of the things that COVID has taught us as well, from our point of view and working with our stakeholder municipalities, that securing the municipal tax base is going to be ever more important. So we need to increase the municipal tax base across all of our municipalities, which means that we need to bring new residents into our communities. That attracting traditional jobs in manufacturing industry is vitally important, but is not the only thing we need to do. We need to diversify the base of people that live here, which means embracing the remote workforce. And that we are seeing a surge in remote working, and that is not going to change. One of the studies I read recently, that a high-rise office building in downtown Toronto, to get all of the employees up to all of the floors that used to work there, would take 23 hours under the COVID restrictions. So there would be an average of 1 hour in that workday. Those office towers are not going to fill anytime soon, and those workers are going to be remote for the near to medium term future. And our area tend to be a lower cost of living, which is kind of a hook, but more importantly, our lifestyle. Right now, everything that you've been able to enjoy in a larger city, you can enjoy from our community. And it's a pitch that does win us a lot of people. So what we're asking tonight is that COVID has created a bit of an urgency with the number of people that are looking to relocate as a result of the ability and a desire to work remotely, and a bit of a flight from the high density urban markets. And we need to, in our communities, take advantage of that and attract more of those people to our area, building new homes, creating infrastructure, all of those things, and increasing our municipal tax base. We can be a big part of your COVID recovery plan. We can attract people to your community. And we are looking for your assistance and your guidance to staff to begin working on. We have a standard letter of intent that we worked with several of the municipalities, and we'd like to work with your staff on finalizing what that letter of intent might look like to bring back to your council. It's growth for your community that is very timely and important. And I know I've read your agenda, and your next one is going to be talking about broadband internet and how we increase the connectivity, and all of that goes together in the long-term success of all of our communities along the St. Lawrence Seaway. So once again, your worship, members of council, I really appreciate your time this evening, and I understand how difficult it is to pay attention on a Zoom meeting, and so your attention is warranted. And I did hear, and I believe in another language, somebody actually pronounced my name correctly, and I'm just astounded because that doesn't happen very often. Yes, that it is, and so as an aside, my name is not pronounced the way it's spelt, and somebody actually knows phonetically how there's nobody ever who has pronounced my name that way the first time ever, which is not the way it's pronounced now. So thank you.
Well, that's why we keep Councillor Olkey around, so that he can keep us well pronounced and well traveled as he is or has been in his previous life. So thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation. Are there any questions of clarity in regards to the presentation? Councillor Olkey, Councillor Fody, and Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you, I hope my voice is carrying this evening. I don't want to be prompted to go to my previous life. The thing I noticed, and I just want to offer you some general points, you seem to be trying to attract people to live in an urban lifestyle in a rural setting. And I get it, with the broadband, people do need that. But there are a lot of people living in urban settings who really want to live in a rural setting as rural people. Looking around the screen here, at least 3 of the councillors are immigrants to this wild kingdom of TLTI, myself included. And I was attracted here because of farmland and bushland. And I have been engaged with that. And just for perspective for the others around the table, I was speaking with a person in Toronto this evening who was leasing out a 2-bedroom condo they had, and the rent they were charging was $3,000 per month. One of the people who was a partner in renting that could no longer pay their rent, so they had to evict them. There's some very serious things happening with our economy, and recovery is going to be key. But I'll just throw those ideas out for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Olkey, and Councillor Fody, and then Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to our guests, thank you for your presentation tonight. It was well done. What I'm picking up from both you gentlemen is it seems you're targeting the working people. Is that the case, as opposed to seniors or maybe students living in and around and going to Queens? Is it in fact you are targeting the working class?
So yes, we so currently, and so I'll kind of comment on the comment and answer the question, the previous comment and the question as well. So we are targeting working people, and we are currently targeting individuals who have the ability, who don't have to leave their job, who have the ability to move here and keep their job. So I kind of relocate that income. Given the way that we do our sales and marketing over time, or actually instantly, we can change that target focus by just changing the metrics that we use on our electronic media. But right now we are looking for working people and not people, and possibly people towards the last 10 years of their career, but not specifically people looking to retire to our community.
Thank you.
Councillor Maybe. We just need you to unmute.
There we go. Yeah, a different button there. Yes, Your Worship, and through you to SLX, Brett and Michael, thank you for your presentation. Some of my questions are, you certainly have targeted the Ottawa market, but have you and are you developing target points to our west and east? mainly our west, typically our Toronto neighbors. Anything happening there takes 3 years to get to us. So as the 401 corridor grows and moves, it does take us that long. Having been a lifelong resident of the Gananoque area, I can wholly see that does happen very often. So, whether that market or whether even a smaller market, you mentioned about Cornwall and Kingston, are you actually looking at possibly doing advertisement there to potentially bring them to the townships, which we know have a lesser tax bracket sometimes? And if they are able to work from home, as we are going to hear in our next presentation a little bit more readily, it could be very helpful to the whole group to have more people move from those boroughs, and even Montreal, or is that another target point, which actually brings in the bilingualism, if they can work from home, and bilingual is one of the things that's strongly needed in the Quebec border area. Then we could have a whole different group move to our area, which would be living in a rural setting, which could be much nicer for them. And, I guess my only last comment is that I see that you've done some marketing and some ads and stuff. Maybe you need a snappy looking town crier sometime, to say something. So, as a possibility. Thank you very much for your presentation. It was very well done. Thank you.
So yes, we targeted Ottawa initially for a couple of reasons. First, the main reason was we have to test somewhere first. And Ottawa, because of the location of the market and the fact that we can drive there within a day, we could drive there easily and interview people and discuss with people. In our business plan, we've actually created a triangle with Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal as the 3 points to the triangle. And the great thing nowadays, so I'm a very old marketer and old salesperson. I remember the days when you had to put a newspaper ad out and you'd spend $10,000 and you'd put it way in advance. So today with the electronic media and the way we can distribute advertising, it's much, much different. So 8 o'clock in the morning, we can be focusing on Ottawa, and a couple of clicks and change to our ad campaign, and we're targeting Toronto by the afternoon. So the ad program, it becomes very, very mobile, and the ability, the actual, so that's the geographical targeting. The actual demographic targeting doesn't need to change because we're looking for that. We've got a certain demographic profile. So we just move the geography. Somebody asked us, so if something happens in Winnipeg, if there's a large layoff of a certain type of workforce, could we move people into Winnipeg or move into Winnipeg instantly? So it's just a matter of changing the geographical focus. Yeah, and we will be doing that. So thank you. And we'll keep the town crier portion in mind for we've got some more ads that we're getting ready. So that is a neat idea.
Perfect. Any further questions for the presenters? Seeing none, I need a motion to thank the representatives. Would somebody like to make the motion? Councillor Grell, do you have a question, or do you want to make a motion? Question. Okay, I need you to unmute. There we go.
Thank you, and through you, Your Worship, thank you very much, Brett and Michael, for your presentation. I read in the newspaper months ago of your initiative, and I remember some numbers being thrown around. Can you, in very general terms, talk tonight, just very briefly, not the exact number, but how your program works financially? How does it work with us? You bring someone in, they stay so long, we pay for that, you give us money. How does that work? What are you offering?
So that's exactly what it is. So one of the things that we're working through with everybody, and again, it becomes a negotiation. So one of the things that's actually way more difficult to do than people expect is define what a household is. So that's the first step, that we need to all agree what a household is, and we will get paid to bring in a household. So for us, a household is not a group of students moving into a house to go to St. Lawrence College. That is not a household. So the actual technical term is a group of individuals who regularly share meals. So we're not using the Stats Can one, but we are. So the definition of a household, and we as Brett mentioned, we all live here, so we're all looking for the same thing. We do have a shared purpose for growing our community, so we want people that are going to stay in those households. So that becomes it. So when we move, when we either have commitment or somebody moves here, we are then looking for the municipalities to pay for that individual household. So that becomes the definition. The dollar amount, for two reasons, I will not speak to a specific dollar amount. First of all, because salespeople always talk about price last. Second of all, is what we're looking to ensure is that every municipality is paying an equitable amount. So ideally, every municipality would pay the same amount for a household. And the reason is we want to ensure that the consumer or the person, the family or person moving into that household makes the decision on where they live, not the price that would be paid to us as the individuals. So we're trying to have an equitable result. So we want to be truly agnostic about where the people locate to, as long as it's one of our family of municipalities. And so we're working to negotiate on what that price would be. One of the CAOs had the idea that maybe the CAO should decide what that price is collectively, and we're pretty open to how that would work. And originally, it was going to be we were looking at a function of municipal property tax, but that might not be the best measure, because first of all, it's a little bit more difficult to obtain on an aggregate basis that would average out. And is it truly representative of the lifetime value of that household moving to our communities? And in some ways, we've seen it's not been. The number, it ranges somewhere between $2,000 and $6,000 per household in general terms is kind of the range that we're going to, shooting towards the 6,000, of course, but we won't get to the 6,000. So, but that's, again, so our success would be defined as a new household moving to your region. And then upon that time period, we would provide you with an invoice, and whatever the payment terms we agreed upon would be, then you would pay our organization.
Any further questions, Councillor Gorell? Oh, Councillor Lackey?
Sorry, thank you, Your Worship, and through you to Mayor Todd. Being an investor in this business, do you find that there might be some sort of conflict of interest?
Good question. And obviously it's one that's come up before. But no, because I'm actually we're not dealing with the town of Prescott. We're not dealing with municipality. I'm of course representing as mayor. So that actually takes it out of that area where it would be considered any sort of a conflict. And one thing, just to branch that out, one thing to make it clear that we're trying to come up with a standardized letter of intent for everyone, so there's no playing favorites of anyone across the board who does sign up for the program. So we wouldn't be directing people to live in Brockville over TLTI or Leeds and 1,000 Islands over front of Young. We're trying to create that level playing field, so we're actually letting the people that want to move into the area dictate that to us. So we would receive that information, whether someone wants to live in a historical home in an urban environment, or maybe somebody wants to live in, say, something like a hobby farm. So we're trying to avoid any sort of conflict like that whatsoever by letting the people move into the area dictate where they want to go, and we're trying to service their needs.
Well, I appreciate your efforts, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any further questions for the presenters? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion, a mover and a seconder, to thank the presenters. So I have Councillor Jameson and Councillor Olkey. Okay, and that the motion is to thank council that the representatives from SLX St. Lawrence Exchange for their presentation. And just adding my 2 cents, I appreciate the efforts to drive people to our township and our region purposefully, so that they can enjoy the benefits that we already know exist here. And we are a gem for sure. And hopefully the next presentation will play into why moving to TLTI will be one of the better places to head. So wish us luck on the next one. So I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion at hand to thank the presenters? All those opposed? And carried. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Brett.
Your Worship, just one item I did want to note, and it would actually clear up some of the questions as well, because we could delve into them more on a more significant basis with the one-on-one discussions. If there would be a willingness to enter into discussions with us beyond tonight, just so we can review some of the things in the letter of intent, and that would then, of course, at your discretion, to bring back to council at a later time.
I believe that the CAO will have this on our next agenda for further discussion. And if we need further points of clarification, we'll definitely reach out. But we appreciate the information given tonight, and we'll look forward to having further discussion later on.
Great. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so moving right along in the agenda. Next is Mr. Fry, who's with our TLTI Broadband Working Group. And there he exists. Now he's in the planner's office this evening. We have to be careful that we don't cross-pollinate our voices on this Zoom, otherwise we have terrible feedback. So Mr. Fry is going to make a presentation in a general sense in regards to the broadband study. So thank you, Mr. Jameson. Did you? I can't hear you. You got to unmute, sorry. Never, real quick? Okay, so if you have a question, you can also type it in the bottom if you go to the Q&A. So we'll turn it over to Mr. Fry to give the presentation, and then we'll have further discussion later on.
Right. Thank you, Your Worship and councillors.
So we're just keep going. Your
okay. All right, super. So thank you for your time. I wanted to talk to you about the working group. As many of you know, we spent a lot of time and energy into trying to understand our options and what's available to us and what we can do. And the presentation we had earlier works very well into what we want to do in this area. And COVID has proven that the ability to work from anywhere is critical. So we went through a study. Your page. A broadband study. Sorry.
I'm trying to share my screen, Vanessa. Go down to the bottom where it says, like, you should have a little menu pop up that says share screen.
There we go.
That's not the one I wanted to share. Is it on here?
No.
Just 1 minute.
This is Bass Lake we're looking at right now. So while we're doing that, I'll start.
Can you see it on there? No. It's not gonna work. It's supposed to be so easy. Okay, let's do share screen 3. And I'm just gonna drag it over the screen.
There we go.
All right, can everybody see?
We just have the
broadband study screen.
We did, and then it flipped over
to
just her desktop now.
Oh, I gotta take it back to the others. Marty, if you click on where you see the PowerPoint down at the bottom, you should be able, yeah, there you go.
There we go.
All right, super. Everybody see the Ethernet cables that we have with pretty graphics in the back?
So we're at the recommendation slide. So maybe you want to go back to the very first slide.
Presentation there.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. We got it now.
Okay. All right, super. So we engaged in a broadband study to understand what we had in the township, what our options were, and what was possible, and to try to get a better understanding of what could be done to help bring broadband to this group. And a lot of people, when they think of broadband, you think of just internet, but in today's world, broadband is so much more than just internet access. It's a way of life. It's a way of conducting council meetings. It's such an integral part of life right now to have broadband, and that is beyond internet. That it's very, very important, as we all know, and it fits into the group we had earlier to talk about attracting people here and people who work from here. And the best way that that's going to happen is to be able to do that. Okay, so what we've done is we've started we had an approved, the council approved in the 2020 budget, funded by the Modernization Reserve Fund, to do this study. And we did a RFQ to 5 different firms to understand what the most feasible were. We reached out to just about every firm, and we narrowed it down to 5. We selected Telecon. Telecon, a lot of you who've driven around this area, you'll see their trucks everywhere. They spent 2-3 months on the Parkway earlier this year. They're a big construction company in this industry, and they won the bid, and we retained them in March of 2020 to proceed with the study. So the goal of the study, we wanted to determine the feasibility of an internet model or a broadband model for this township that would deliver internet and broadband to the whole township. And we as we'll touch on some of the areas, as you all know, our township is it's unique and diverse, and we have a lot of things that impact the delivery of broadband to this area. So the approach we took was to evaluate the geography of the township, to understand, and by doing that, there's a lot of factors that come into play that really impact how broadband can be delivered. And for instance, if there's granite, if there's pine trees, if there's all this plays a huge factor in what we have. We also had to look at the population growth and distribution. We have pockets, settlement communities, and then there's a lot of rural, and we want to make sure that the plan we have can actually address the population distribution we have in this area. And then we did a review of the current internet providers that are here. We looked at the options to understand what was offered, where it was offered, how it was offered, what was available, and to be able to truly understand, looking at the population distribution and the geography of the township, how that could work and whether it would work and satisfy our goal of providing broadband infrastructure to this township. So the deliverables from the study were preliminary network design, recommendations on how to do it, the sectorizations, the equipment, the infrastructure, everything that was needed to kind of look to put this together. An estimate for the costs, for the full engineering, for the full study, and this is to deliver internet to the home, high speed, ready for the future ready internet. Because there's one thing to have internet that's suitable for today, but we all know how fast things move in this world, and we want to be able to provide infrastructure and a project that is truly future-proof. The best way we could. And then, of course, we need to understand the schedules. If we're going to undertake this, how long is it going to take, and how can it be done, and what will the schedule look like? And so this was the deliverable we wanted out of our study. So the recommendation that came back was based on the geography and the population disbursement of this township. the cost of building internet for this township is 25% higher than the industry standard. And what that means is the business case for private industry to come in here, for-profit industries to come in here and build this, it's a long way out in the future. It will eventually happen, but not everyone here will get it within our lifespan if we don't do something, because of the cost, because all the for-profit people are going to look after areas where they can make profit until at some point there's nowhere else to grow and they have to grow. So the recommendation was that the township should advance this in the absence of an actual ISP to build this system, and this is something that the township should undertake to deliver reliable, high-speed internet to the township. So the next steps, we need to develop a business plan, which we've been working on, and we need to go out then and secure funding. This isn't like all infrastructure, all critical infrastructure. It's not a cheap undertaking, but it has to be done right, and we only get one shot to do it the first time. So we need to secure the funding for it. We need to develop a strategy to offer this in stages and phase it, and enter into partnerships with the various construction, engineering, service providers, the actual people that will do the work for this. So that's the next steps from the working committee. And the next steps from council and for this call, we'd like a council resolution to support to improve connectivity for this township. We want to go after some funding opportunities. There's a provincial grant that's out now that will fund 25% of this. There's other opportunities that are on the table that we're working towards. But this opportunity with the province is immediate and available now. And then once that's all in place, we need to do an RFQ and look at the partners that could work to help us build this and deliver it, and understand what models will be best to service us for the long term in this community. And that's about it. So
perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Fry. Ms. Venditti, did you want to bookend that with anything, or?
Sorry, I can't tell if I'm on the screen or not.
I
am. Thank you.
You're on the screen.
Through your worship, just in terms of funding, so there is a report on the regular agenda this evening. The province has announced the ICON grant, for which the timelines are very tight right now. So the application for the first funding submission is due August 21st. If the township is successful through that round, through the stage 1 of the ICON grant, the second submission is required to be submitted by, I believe it's November 28th. So it's a fairly aggressive time frame, which is why the recommendation that's on the regular agenda for this evening also includes a component to go out for an RFQ. That would help identify the project partners that are required to advance this type of work. And we would have to look at what's required from a budgeting and financial perspective as well. So the RFQ would be looking for the different potential providers to give us an overview of what they're able to do, what costs would be associated, and how that relationship between them and the township would work.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Any further questions for the presenter? Sorry, Marnie, can you stop sharing your screen, and then maybe I can, I'm just trying to get back to my grid view. There, I've got everybody now. I can see everybody's faces. Thank you. Is there any questions of clarification in regards to the presentation, Mr. Fry, Mr. Grow? And then Mr. Maybe.
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship, as a member of that working group, I just want to point out regarding funding, it was pointed out in one of the funding papers that all of the people, all the governments who are responsible for funding, they understand the high cost of preparing reports. So they actually have a statement in there that says, do not begin with the final reports until we've reviewed your basics to stage one. In other words, we got to get through stage one. And those government groups are very cognizant of the fact that it costs a lot of money to go out and pay for that in the end results. So it's not like we have to structure that immediately. And that's, I want to just clarify that when Bill was making his presentation. Those funding groups, both federal and provincial, are understanding of the fact that you're working through a process. I just want to make that clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Garreau. Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you and to our presenter. Just a couple of questions is, you mentioned about provincial funding of 25%. Is there other federal funding available for additional funding for this type of service? Because I don't think I really read or heard that in your presentation. And as a personal note, I'm very close to Gananoque, but I have a tree canopy that gets me in the way. And then whether this is proposed to be a cable run system or whether it's going to be an air driven system. And if it's a cable and being fiber, is it going to be a multi-mode sort of style system? Are you actually indicating anything like that yet in how the process is going to be put out there and what type of cabling or mode we're running? Thank you.
It's early to understand exactly what we need to do for the study. We do know that in this area, as I said, rock, cliffs, Canadian shield, trees, snow, all that has an impact on wireless technologies, some of the point-to-point, some of the fixed broadband wireless companies that are out there. They can do it. They can do a great job. In the areas where this works well, it really works well. But again, you put the Canadian shield with a row of pine trees growing on it, and all of a sudden your tower needs to grow every year. And towers don't grow as fast as trees. And in terms of funding, there is levels of federal government. There's a lot of discussion. There's nothing current on the federal government that exists right now that you will find on any website, but there are a lot of discussion about shovel-ready infrastructure projects, and what we're undertaking here is truly infrastructure project. This is, I don't see this as about just providing internet, so this is a true infrastructure project that will allow us to go into the next century with what we have.
Thank you very much for your feedback.
Councillor Jameson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to say how much I appreciate the presentation, and I know we have other information. I have questions that I think we will be able to address in another part of the meeting. But I really want to say how much I was pleased to receive the report, and I think we have got something going here, and I hope we get on board.
Thank you, Councillor Jameson. Councillor Oakey.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship, and through you. I very much appreciate this report as well. The previous study we were shown spoke to ways of accelerating our growth. And perhaps you'll have many more subscribers than was originally thought. If you look at the way we are on the ground today, there's building going on here in this township like we've never seen before in many years. The other aspect, now it's historic, But if we could talk about electrification of the province, originally many villages, many towns, Almont, Ontario, for one of them, made its own electricity company. And I believe that people could buy shares in that company against future profits. So Bell Canada isn't a government agency. It might as well be in many cases, and for many years at a monopoly. Is there any thought, and it may be early and maybe very premature here, but considering against population growth, an opportunity for people on an individual level to become stakeholders, as in shareholders?
I think from my point of view, we haven't ruled out any possibility at this point. So I would say everything's possible. If that is the better way that we should do it, that's the better way we should do it. But at this point, we wanted to share this presentation early on, and to move forward with the next phase from the ICON funding. So we don't have all those details, although we will get them. We will have them. It's just a little early on right now for us to know what model is going to work best. And there's pros and cons of every model, of course. And we need to carefully examine it and make sure that what we do is right. But that has been discussed, and there's certainly no reason why we couldn't do it if it was the right option. I'm guessing.
Are there any further questions for? Are there any further questions for Mr. Fry? I will just add before we have a motion to thank the presenter that I'm very pleased that Council early on through this pandemic supported the need to move forward with this project, because it's putting us in a position where we are very worthy candidates of possible funding at the provincial level, and will hopefully provide infrastructure if we can move it forward both at the provincial level and the federal level and local level with partnerships, whether those be our homegrown or with other existing players, that we will be able to be the true poster child for expanding broadband in rural Ontario. No matter the trees, no matter the rocks, no matter the different terrain, that we are going to connect, hopefully, with the will of this council and the will of all the partnerships that we will need to create through this process. Hopefully something bigger and better that will long outlive us as council for this township. So I'll need a mover and a seconder to thank the presenter. I have Deputy Mayor Lackey and then Councillor Fody. And that council thank Mr. Fry for his presentation on behalf of the TLTI Broadband Working Group and regarding the broadband study. Thank you again, Mr. Fry. All those in favor of the motion at hand, please signify. All those opposed, and that carries. Thank you again, and we'll discuss this further on. Okay, so moving right along in the next on the agenda is staff reports, finance number FN-02320. And so I need a mover and a seconder that council approves the award of the request for proposal FIN 2020-001, water wastewater rate review to Watson and Associates to be funded from the Water Sewer Reserve Fund. Can I have a person to make that motion and a seconder, please? Mr. Councillor Jameson. And a seconder for the motion? Deputy Mayor Lackey, thank you very much. Okay, discussion on the motion in regards to the water and wastewater rate review. I think the report is fairly clear. Councillor Maybe?
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. I guess my only question was, where did I find it here? There was only one submission, even though there were 5 takers. Is there a reason why there weren't any more submissions given? Thank you.
Through you, Your Worship. So, I mean, I can't really say for sure, although I know that this particular firm does do a lot of the rate studies in the province. They're fairly well known and established in doing these studies. But honestly, other than that, I'm not really sure why there weren't more submissions in this particular case.
Yeah, no, I was read that and kind of wondered, and I realized that they are a good firm for this type of project. So I'm fine with that. I just kind of curious that, we have that many take it, but none to get back. Not uncommon in the game we play as RFQs and RFIs and such. So thank you.
Any further questions for the treasurer in regards to this request? Deputy Mayor Lackey?
Sorry, I've got two computers going. What is the time frame for this study?
3 year, worship. The goal is to have the work done and the study done by, I think it's the 1st of November or the 1st to mid-November to, we actually need a financial plan to submit for our water license, which comes up for renewal in November. So that's what we're aiming for.
Okay. Any further questions for the treasurer in regards to this study that is required to be done? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion at hand, please signify. Thank you. All those opposed? And carried. Next motion on the floor is that council approve bylaw number 20-046 to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into an agreement with the Ontario Fire College with regards to the training center and course offerings through the college. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Fody, a seconder. Councillor Oakey, thank you. Okay, discussion on the motion. I think it's fairly straightforward. Again, Councillor, maybe you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Worship, and through you. I know that we've had many discussions about the fire training center over the years, and as the potential revenue. How many courses per year on a normal basis, and I guess it's to the chief, and what is our potential revenue? I know it's a hot topic that we always, are we making money or not? So I guess that's the basic question. Thank you.
Through you, your worship, we do have courses planned. We haven't got them. They have to be authorized by the Ontario Fire College before they will submit instructors and put the courses on. Over the course of a year, there's basically about, I think it's 10 to 12 courses that we put on through the college, although we do put other courses on through other weeks, off weeks or whatever, with our local trainers or whatever. A lot of it has gone off site where we do make a better profit. We don't use any facilities at the training center, only for the testing and examination period. As far as the revenues from the course or from the training center, it's up and down. This year, of course, it's been closed, and we are going to be opening a pilot course with the ministry with a blended, they call it a blended e-learning and on-site for 2 days. And they're assuming all the costs of this because it is a pilot project, and we can charge whatever we can for each participant. It is a full course. It's an investigator course, and it'll put a bit of time on our part to put it on, but the ministry has agreed to assume all costs and want to get it up and running and start training in Ontario again. So if this works, there'll be a lot more, and we'll probably be able to put more courses on through the e-learning portion of it.
Thank you, Chief. So we'll actually be more profitable is basically our bottom line.
Well, that's kind of the gist of it. If we can assume some of our costs, we're not here to, I don't think, to generate millions of dollars, but we're here to cover our costs and provide that training. The service that the center provides to our local group is invaluable. So
breaking even would help a lot. Yes,
that's right.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Lackey, you had your hand up.
Yes, I did. Thank you. You were shipping through you to the chief. It's first and foremost, it's a fire station, correct?
Through you, your worship, the There is a fire station, there is a roads component there, but the training center does occupy most of the property there.
But we moved the fire station from the Quonset hut on the other side of Lyndhurst to there. First and foremost, and then the training facility came after. That was a component, and then there was a small component of our public works having a little bit of space there as well. So theoretically, if we decide not to fill the propane tanks and we don't use any of it for fire training, it's still a fire station and public works. So
that's correct.
We talk about, making a profit. We talk about, financially doing this, that, and the other thing. But at the end of the day, we have to have that fire station. We have to have that public works portion of that property. So if you don't want to run any training, then by all means, don't. Turn the propane off and we're done.
Yeah, the investment that we have there is over the 20 years, and it is a quality unit. There is a demand for it, and our people in our own system, which are 83, I think at this time, volunteers, do benefit from that facility. So if we turn the propane off, it would be a discredit to that service that we provide to them.
I don't disagree, but I'm just trying to make the point that
that's correct. Yeah.
You know what? We're bashing our heads for no reason.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got Councillor Oakey, I've got Councillor Jameson, I got Councillor Grohl, and then back to Councillor Maybe. So Councillor Oakey, go ahead.
Thank you, Worship, and through you. First and foremost, I'd like to say that I'm an admirer of our firefighters. I recognize a disciplined service, people who are trained and take risks of their own life and limb on our behalf. So anything else I might say, don't forget that I said that first, and I'll stand by it. I'd like to go to the presentation a bit. I notice I'm going to go below and then up. Part 3, 3.02, fee. The township may set fees for any firefighter to attend the course who is not an employee of the township, provided such fees are reflective of the costs incurred by the township in providing the course. And then if you go up.
What page is this on, Councillor Oakey? Can you reference the page that you're
on? I don't see a page number.
Usually at the bottom of the page, it says page 36 of 121 type thing.
I don't see it. Sorry.
Oh, maybe it got cut off.
Might be my eyes.
3.02 is the fee content.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, then it up on 204, it says the OFC shall charge the township a fee for each employee of a township who is enrolled in a course, in accordance with the fee schedule set out in the most recent version of the OFC annual calendar. Now, so we're allowed to charge for our costs, but we still have to pay a fee back to the provincial authority. And yet people wish to talk about some kind of profit. Now that confuses me, and I know some of my constituents are going to be poking me over that. That is confusing text to me. If someone else can enlighten me, I think in the sense of financial profit and loss, I'm not sure those are the right terms to use. I think the savings to us, the gain to us, is having a facility and I think this is what Councillor or Deputy Mayor Lackey was referring to. The advantage to us is A, having a modern fire station on site, and B, not having the expense of sending our people away to train them. But this talk of financial profit and loss appears to me to be a bit misleading, and I'm quite prepared to be enlightened. Thank you very much.
Chief Lawson or CAO Donachie? I know that CAO had worked on the contracts as well, so I don't know which one of you would like to speak to that question.
If I could speak to the cost to the OFM, each course they put on, there is a registration fee of $65. The costs incurred at the station or at the ESTC are for lunches, extra personnel that may be on site to train our instructors, basically, any other costs incurred on site to put the course on. So there could be $65 to register one of our students, but the whole course may be worth $350, which we basically absorb and not have to pay. So really the only outlay we do have is to that $65 payment or to the OFM. The money that we would put out on the course would come back to the township, of course. It's just in one hand out the other, really. Yeah.
Does that answer the question, Councillor Oakey, before I move on?
I wonder if Mr. Donachie has something to add.
Okay, go ahead, CAO Donachie.
Yeah, through your worship to Councillor Oakey. You raised a good point between the section 2 and the section 3. And I think what we can do is tighten up the language a little bit so it acknowledges, I think the MOU from the OFC was drafted thinking that we're talking about township firefighters only and not that it could be expanded to firefighters from other areas. So what we can do is go back to the OFC and just tighten that 2.4 down to acknowledge that they'll get to charge a fee, but we'll have the as the chief says, a higher fee to take in all the other incidentals. Does that address your concern?
I think so. I may abstain on the vote. Thank you.
So I had Councillor Jameson, then I think Councillor Fody and Councillor maybe who had their hand up.
So I just wanted to circle back to Deputy Mayor's comments, Your Worship, in context of Councillor maybe to get out of the weeds again. It's been a hot topic because it sort of comes out of nowhere, and then we have the same conversation all the time. It's a fire station, and we've got a core cost that's going to be there no matter what. If there is some opportunity to do training and it benefits our people, and to the extent that we train people in our own area, fine and dandy, and try to break even and let's move on. But it's only a hot topic because we keep bringing it back. And I'm not sure why it's a hot topic. It's a fire station. I'm glad it's there. The people of Lyndhurst need that fire station, and we're going to keep paying for it. So I think we should just move on. Thank you. Grumpy.
Councillor Fody and Councillor maybe. I had muted myself. I apologize.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship, through you. I agree with Councillor Jameson. The fire training center is never an issue with me for money. It's not that I'm careless about the finances. It's the fact that our own firemen are the biggest beneficiary of this. As Deputy Mayor Lackey said, it is a fire station first and foremost. But what appeals to me is the fact that we have the Ontario Fire Marshal's office wanting to come here. They have other options they could go to. They don't have to come to this training center, but they choose to. And that spreads money in the area, whether it's restaurants, rooms, whatever it may be. But just as important to me is to see our firefighters, those who are involved, as trainers. Obviously, there's a respect in the Fire Marshal's office that our men are qualified to actually do the training and teaching of this course. And that shouldn't fall deaf on anybody's ears. We have firefighters with that kind of ability, skill set, and quite historically long-time firefighters, the years they've served here. Our chief is no exception. So I think we, as Councillor Jameson said, we need to move on from the money aspect to this and appreciate the overall picture here of what we do have as a huge asset to our area.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fody, and then Councillor Maybe, and if anybody else needs to speak, and then we'll move on to the vote.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. Yes, I didn't indicate that it's not needed and anything to that manner. It's just that in the public eye, it seems to be raised more often than it really needs to be, which I do agree with pretty well everybody who said something like that. And it is very vital to our northern end of our township to have that facility there. And it is great that it is a training center that which other people are using, and we can benefit, and our firefighters benefit also from the training. It's just that we do hear, and I'm sure everybody has heard from time to time, where's the profit? Why is it costing us money? I have no problem with it personally at all in any iota, that it is actually a vital tool in our township, and will continue to be a vital tool in our township, because we have great firefighters and Chief Lawson and Deputy Fire Chief who can actually manage this facility quite well. So I'm all for it, and I'm good. I just had to bring up some questions, as I always do. Thank you.
Any further questions in regards to this motion? Deputy Mayor Lackey, I'll let you have the last word.
I'll be very brief. To the chief, how much profit do we make from any of our other stations?
Let's just say that there is no profit from any other station except that one. We do have costs incurred at every station, but there are no revenues brought into any other station except the training center.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, with that, I will call the question. All those in favor of the motion at hand, which is that council approve bylaw number 20046 to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into an agreement with the Ontario Fire College with regards to the training center and course offerings through the college. And the motion was made by Councillor Fody and seconded by Councillor Olkey. All those in favor, please signify. All those opposed, carried. Thank you, everyone. Okay, and next on the docket is the next motion is that council approve bylaw number 20-047 to regulate the setting and maintaining of open air burning attached as Exhibit A to Fire Services Report number FI-008-20, and that further the council repeal bylaw number 19-034. Can I have a mover and a seconder for that motion, please? Deputy Mayor Lackey and Councillor Olkey, thank you. Okay, discussion on this motion. It's a lengthy one. I know it's a bylaw, so it's kind of detailed, but I appreciate the detail as it will allow our staff, both through the fire department bylaw and all complementary individuals who work within enforcement to enforce, if you will. So are there any specific questions in the regards to the schedule of fees or how the bylaw is written? Councillor Garrell.
Just to break the ice through you, Your Worship, and I thank the presentation of the red line version so that we didn't have to read 25 pages of bylaw. I really do appreciate that. However, I would like to ask the chief, I did notice that the setbacks are back to the very original proposal back months ago. And I know we had maybe knocked that down 15 meters from 20. And I notice it's back up to 20. So that's fine. I just want to ask your rationale for doing so. Thank you.
Through you, Your Worship, to Councillor Garrell. We did put that back to the 20. It's a common number, I guess, between a lot of different burn bylaws that we perused through and brought in to look at. It gives us, it's not a cut in stone type thing. We can do an inspection, and if things are clear that it's not going to impinge any heat or anything on any sort of a building or whatever, it's fine. It's just a number that in built up areas is where we're trying to somewhat curtail some of the larger burns. We're having a lot of complaints in the build-up areas. So therefore the burn of a brush pile or especially incinerators. We want to eliminate those in build-up areas. It causes grief with people with asthma. It causes grief with neighbors who want their windows open and so on. But the smaller campfire settings under the 20 meters are fine. It could recreate a special permit where we need to go in and do an inspection before we will approve and set them up on a special permit. It does allow them, once they're set up on a special permit, to get the notifications of burn bans, levels of burn bans, whatever, through the app. So we're hoping that that will simply be a benchmark that we can work from and to, and hopefully people will respect it as the 20 meter. But like I say, under the 20 meters, 10 meters, it's
Thank you for that, Chief. I really appreciate your comments. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Lackey, and then Councillor Jameson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to put it in perspective, most of the building lots in our towns are 66 feet wide. So it's going to be fairly difficult for anyone to have some sort of outdoor fire. So I'm wondering if we're going to put this in place and we're not going to enforce it, then what's the point?
I think that the whole purpose of this is so that it's clear cut as to enforcement. Is that correct, Chief?
Through Your Worship, yes, that's basically what we want everybody to comply. We also want to be able to say, if you have a lot on one of those 66-foot lots in town and you want to build a barbecue or a fire pit or whatever, you have to go through the fire office. We go in and we'll give you reasons why we can't have it there, or we will approve it as a small fire pit or whatever. But as far as enforcement, if you don't have a fire permit from now on, and you simply build a fire in your backyard, we get a complaint and have to go to it or send an officer to it, you will get billed for it.
Thanks for the clarification, Chief. Thank you.
Councillor Jameson.
It's really further to the point I think the Deputy Mayor was raising, and my understanding is that in the villages, and I'm thinking very specifically of Lyndhurst and Sealy's Bay, very small lots. There may be a challenge. There may be a challenge with the actual pits, the actual barbecues. But my understanding, based on a conversation with the chief, is that these things have parameters within which they can function, because that is the concern in villages, particularly ones where the houses are very tight to the lot lines and all these things, though the fire potential is there. So I have some assurances that we can actually not burn down the villages. If the education portion, which is really my point, it's going to be the education portion that we're going to have to work on the most, rather than just the enforcement. Get to the education, and I think our enforcement will dissipate considerably. Thank you.
Any further questions for the chief? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor of the motion at hand, please signify. All those opposed, and the motion is carried. And I said earlier in the meeting that we would break at 7:15 for a refreshment or a quick trip to the bathroom if you need be. So we'll come back in 8 minutes. How about that? Thank you, everyone. Okay, so we have to wait on Councillor Burrell and Councillor Lackey to come back, and then we'll get started again. We have Councillor Lackey back. We're just waiting on Councillor Burrell. So the next report that's on, we'll reconvene here. So it's report number FI 009-20, and we'll need a mover and a seconder for this motion that council received fire services report number FI 009-20 to be received for information. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Maybe, and then Councillor Olkey. Okay, discussion on this report. Any questions for the fire chief? Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you and to the fire chief. I do find the online burn permit very easy to navigate and get to, and I appreciate it being there and available, as well as the notices and information passed back and forth during fire bans and suspected cases of having it going back on and such. The telephone calls are great. Thank you.
Councillor Gorell, go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. I just want to mention I was pleased to read at the bottom of the report, I guess, page, well, yeah, the last page, Emergency Services Training Center. It says the last paragraph I thought was very interesting. Fire Services is considering offering industry training, including fire extinguishers, working at heights, chainsaw courses, and health and safety. I had to take all of those courses at work, and it was sort of half online, half not. It was a requirement at my former employer, and it's stretched out forever, and it's good to see that is a real possibility of selling that stuff. Thank you.
Also, just to that I didn't bring up in the previous discussion, but it is nice to put a feather in our cap that we are a pilot project for Fire College as well. So just kudos to you and your team, Chief, in regards to setting things up, because it might become the standard across the province. So thank you very much for that. Are there any other questions in regards to this information report? Councillor Jameson.
Just the comment that it looks like you've had a busy first 6 months, and that we certainly appreciate that your people are there for us. We had just a week or so ago the incident, 2 weeks ago, I guess, the fatal fatality on Highway 3215, and our people attended that, and we're looking at what we need to do to mitigate some of the challenges there. But once again, I always appreciate my friends and neighbors that volunteer for our fire services, because they do a terrific job, and I know we all feel the same way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further comments in regards to this information report? I am pleased to see the number of accidents down. I think it's indicative of the less people were traveling for a certain period of time, which so that's a positive thing. But it is a bit disturbing that we've had more water rescues, and I know that I think a lot of other people are going out and doing their social distancing and being out on the water. So, you know, I don't know if there's anything we can do to help promote water safety and how people are behaving on those waterways. But, you know, hopefully we don't ever have any fatalities again if we can avoid it. But I know that our service trains long and hard to make sure that they are at the ready for those type of rescues. So any further comments or questions in regards to this report? Seeing none, we'll call a question. All those in favor of the information provided, please signify. All those opposed, And it's carried. Thank you. So next on the agenda is a motion in regards to the planning, or so the broadband study. So I'll read the motion first, and then I'll ask for a mover and a seconder. That council receive the working group update regarding the broadband study for information purposes, and that council of the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands recognizes the importance of providing a reliable and secure broadband system for the residents and the businesses in the township, and that the council of the Township of Leeds and Thousand Islands accepts the broadband study report prepared by Telcon Inc., and further that council authorize staff to proceed with a request for proposal to seek a project partner for implementation of a broadband network in the township and pursue funding options. Mover and a seconder, please. So I'll make it Councillor Gorell and then Deputy Mayor Lackey. Okay, so I'm sure there's robust discussion in regards to this, or maybe it's straightforward. I could be wrong. So prove me wrong. Any discussion on this motion? Councillor Foti.
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, perhaps COVID brought the future to us instead of us trying to implement the future to the township. I think it became loud and clear, as was presented in our presentation tonight. The future's here. It arrived unwillingly in the form of a pandemic, but it brought to the forefront the mere shortcomings of what we really lack in this township. Our first presentation of bringing people from other areas down here, and the reason I asked the question about the working class, would that not be a question if you were in the working class, whether we have high-speed internet? This is the railway of the future. This is the telephone of the future. And if we don't make this move forward, we'll never have a future in my eyes. I won't live long enough. I would regret to see the real benefits of this down the road. But it's up to us to make this happen. And I'm fully behind this proposal. And this is merely in the search stage right now, but this is where we have to start. And I'm fully behind this.
Any speakers for or against the motion? Seeing none. Oh, Deputy Mayor, I'll let you in.
Sorry, no, I don't have much to say other than I think we have a good group behind us, and I fully appreciate their efforts.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion at hand, please signify. And that is a unanimous yay. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the next step. So having said that, I also need a mover and a seconder to go in camera, and I'll read the motion. So who would like to move? Councillor Foti, and then seconder, Councillor, anybody? Councillor maybe? Okay, and that council form an in-camera to consider a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group, or of persons or organization, and to consider personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees as it pertains to HR matters. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify. Any opposed? And it's carried. Okay, so we'll wait for the clerk to get us off the